So hi, hello and welcome again, Microbehunter here, and today in this video I want to show you one of the largest cells known in biology. I'm not saying the largest ones because there are some that might be a little bit larger, but I think 2 millimeters for one single cell. Yeah, 2 millimeters I think is pretty large. It's large enough for me in any case to be sufficiently interesting to share it with you. Well, we're talking of course about the ciliate Stentor, also known as the so-called trumpet animalcule. It's not an animal, it's a protist, but in this video today I simply want to show you a little bit of how I collected it and where I found it, and of course we're going to put it under the microscope and we're going to talk a little bit about it. And a few days ago I actually visited my local lake here. It's an artificial lake. It was actually used for mining gravel for construction work, and back in the 1940s it was converted to a swimming lake, and now it's one of the nice recreational areas where I live. And it's early spring, so it's before season, and essentially I was visiting this place for a little walk in the afternoon a few days ago to collect a water sample to put under the microscope, right? So I was kind of hoping to find some algae, but unfortunately I was not very successful because, yeah, it's still too early in the year, right? Of course, there were lots of ducks there swimming around, and lots of birds. Yeah, this little swan over here, it's not that little, but it got a little bit aggressive when people approached it. But in any case, I was kind of walking along the shore of the lake, hoping to find some interesting material. But actually, yeah, I didn't find anything much of interest, except all of a sudden I saw those green water plants growing in here, and I said, well, that's actually a good place, because if there are water plants there, these are primary producers. This means they're producing organic material, plenty of oxygen present in any case, and most important, a surface where actually microorganisms can grow on. And of course, plenty of microorganisms also grow on the rocks and so on, but I found this little plant a little bit easier to take along, so I took off a couple of leaves, I put them into a plastic container that I always carry along, and with a little bit of water, and I went home hoping to find something interesting. And sure enough, I did find something interesting, because the biofilm, the layer of microorganisms on the leaf was quite dense and quite fascinating. There were lots and lots of vorticellae growing on it. These are so-called belled animalcules. They're also ciliates. And then I found stentors, and those stentors are actually really large. They have this trumpet shape and thousands of tiny cilia here on them, and they're filtering the water. So what I did is I took my pipette and I carefully tried to approach the stentor and quickly suck off the stentor into the pipette so that I could transfer it on a microscope slide. This actually worked out. However, under the microscope, it didn't look at all like this trumpet shape anymore. It was kind of very oval and swimming around relatively quickly, difficult to follow, almost like a paramecium, really. And it didn't really look anything like what I expected. I was kind of already worried that I did not pick up the right microorganism, but as a matter of fact, a couple of minutes later, it settled down and it started to attach itself to the microscope slide, to a surface, and then it started to slowly extend and to reform this trumpet-like shape. And this is really where I could observe quite nicely the tiny cilia and also how it was actually filtering the water. And then when disturbed, then it just like very unexpected, very rapidly it contracted and retracted itself and pulled together again into this more or less round oval shape. A little bit like the vorticella. They also have this possibility to very rapidly contract and pull back if there is danger. Now, those stentors are fascinating for a variety of reasons, and there are a few things that I myself didn't even know. But during my last live stream, when I presented them to the community, somebody mentioned that those stentors have a remarkable ability to regenerate. So if you cut them apart into two halves, then they're able to form essentially two cells out of that. And I had my initial doubts, because I says, well, actually, we're talking here about one cell. If you cut one cell in half, isn't it supposed to kind of the cell cytoplasm flow out and then the cell kind of dies? And what about the DNA? If there's a nucleus in there and you cut it apart, then one half is going to get the nucleus, so maybe that's going to regenerate, but the other half is not going to get the nucleus, so it doesn't have a DNA. It doesn't have a DNA, so how is it supposed to regenerate? So this was kind of, I had my doubts. But I did a little bit of research, and indeed, not surprised for myself, that's how you learn new things. Yes, the extensive research has been done in the past to study the regeneration ability of those stentors. And what they found out is that because the stentor has this long, elongated nucleus that looks almost like beads on a string, right? If you cut it apart, then actually the two cells will have DNA, and somehow it is able to regenerate their DNA, and therefore then you have essentially then two cells. So in other words, Stentor has become somewhat a model organism as well to study cellular regeneration as well. So something quite interesting here. Now, generally there are several species of stentors around, and what they do, just like other ciliates, they're also able to, of course, do cell division, and they're also able to conjugate. This basically means that two of them are able to fuse together to directly exchange DNA as well, something that we already know and have observed with Paramecium and other ciliates as well. Yeah, and there is another thing that I would like to share with you, and that is this strange plastic object that I found at the lake. I don't know what it is. It looked like a little model rocket, almost had fins on it, and there was a line, a string attached to it. So I'm assuming it's some kind of either fishing equipment or maybe some diving equipment. I have no idea what it is, but in the comment section below, maybe you can help out here a little bit and inform the community of what I found here. Yeah, I have to tell you, I was a little bit irritated, fascinated, but also a little bit irritated by that, because it is, of course, plastic waste here, and that's something that should actually be removed from the lake here as well. Yeah, last but not least, if you have also found stentors before or other ciliates, yeah, sure, please share your experiences in the comments section below as well. I also would like to, of course, invite you to subscribe to this channel if you like these type of videos. But for today, that's all I would like to share with you. I wish you all the best. Happy microbe hunting as always, and see you around in the next video. Bye bye.